Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So several months ago, I worked with Leticia from Books and Bees to put together a TBR. We both filmed videos reading books that each other recommended from tropes that we didn't like. So I asked Leticia to film me another recommendation clip with books on my Kindle TBR, and I had her pick 5 books, and she filmed a clip for us. So let's go ahead and give that a watch.
Hi everyone from Ashley's channel. I'm so excited to be doing this again. So the books I choose, some of those were for purely selfish reasons, and I want Ashley to read first so that she can recommend to me later. But most of those I chose with a very good intent because I have a good heart and I'm a great friend. So I chose books that I think she's going to love. Her TBR was very dark, which is just something I love. And there were some I didn't choose just because I wanted her to read with me. So yeah, I was also selfish with that. But the first one I chose was Games We Play. I think this one is going to be so dark and so good. I also love the cover. I've heard about this book a few times and I just want you to read it. So yeah, Games We Play. Second, it's Master of Salt and Bones. I gave this book 5 stars last year, and I feel that you're going to really like it. Like at least a 4-star, and if you don't, I'm gonna kill you. This has some BDSM in it, and just, yeah, some knives and breath play, and yeah, it's dark, very good, a little bit of a modern gothic vibe to it. So yeah, really like it. Then I chose The Redemption. I didn't know Ashley had read this series actually, but when I saw a few reading vlogs of people like loving this book and saying that, oh, I waited so long for this couple, and like I'm assuming that Ashley really wants to read this for February. I may assume wrong, but I'm gonna give her this one because I feel she's going to like it, and it's an audiobook. It's gonna be quicker to read, so you're welcome. Then we have Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. It's a Hades, Meg, and Hercules retelling. It says a lot about me that I remember Hades' name more than Hercules, which is the hero of the story. Yeah, I just know that this has BDSM, lots of angst, very Ashley-ish to me. And then last but not least, Medicine Man by Stephanie Kent. I also read this last year and I love it because it was so angsty. I think it's set in a mental ward. I think that's how you say it. Like a doctor and patient relationship, very forbidden, very angsty. Quite the long book, but I didn't really felt it because the writing was amazing, and I just hope you're going to love that one, okay? Because I did. It was amazing. And yeah, those were the books. Good luck, Ashley, and I hope you like all of them.
I knew as soon as I sent her my TBR that she was going to send me Medicine Man because she talks about that book all the time on her channel and she really likes it. So I knew that she was going to try to get me to read it. But I'm very excited. Several of these books I probably wouldn't have gotten to anytime soon. So I'm very happy that she chose them for me. And let's get into the vlog portion. Last night I finished Games We Play, and I really liked this. I gave it 4 stars. So this is basically about a journalist who is tasked by the gaming magazine that she works for to interview this guy who is a streamer, and he always wears a mask, so nobody knows what he looks like, and he has like a very distinct voice. And so she goes there, she interviews him, and they enter into a deal for only one night. There is the degradation and praise kink in here, and I liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I think if you're looking at it from like a, does the epilogue of Happily Ever After make sense with what you're provided? Not really. But if you're going into this with that's a novella about people hooking up for a night, it's good. The hero is obsessed with a heroine, and I thought that the kinks were hot. It's not going to be for everybody. Like, he literally leashes her, which is not going to be for everybody. So just like keep that in mind before you go into it. But I thought it was hot. And then I also got 50% of the way through Learn My Lesson. This is the second book in the Wicked Villains series by Katie Robert, and this is a Hades, Meg, and Hercules poly story. And in the beginning of the story, Hades has Meg hook up with Hercules, and he sets it up to seem like Meg is being used by Hades and to set up Hercules as like the hero so that he will want to save Meg. Hades wants to get revenge on Zeus by using Hercules, and his intention is to get a contract with him to get him to make a deal to get Meg free and then seduce Hercules. And Meg is a willing participant in the whole thing, and it's a dom sub relationship. They run this club together, and Meg is a very interesting character. If you have read the first book in the Sabine Valley series, this is a very similar feeling. The relationships are very similar, which doesn't feel all that new and interesting in my opinion. So I'm not super loving it. It's not blowing me away. I feel like I've read this before, but I do think this came before that series did. But I am enjoying it. I do think it's hot, and I am interested to see how their poly relationship works. They all have their own dynamics. Hercules is a little dumb. He very much has that hero god complex, I guess, and he puts himself in situations because he's stupid. And Meg feels very betrayed by Hades. She loves him, and she doesn't have any intention of leaving their relationship, but she doesn't feel like they are partners like they used to be. And so Hades is really trying to get this relationship back on track. He loves Meg and he wants her to be happy, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's hoping that Hercules will kind of bring their relationship back together while he can also figure out this plan of revenge on Zeus. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's just not something that the angst is something that I've read from her before. I'm listening to the audiobook, and I will say the audiobook quality is not great. Two of the audiobook narrators are the same narrators that she uses for all of her audiobooks, but the audiobook narrator for Hercules, his audio quality is just atrocious. It just sounds very, very bad. He's doing fine himself, but the actual quality of the clips is not great. And then I also started Master of Salt and Bone. Now this is a super long one. It's over 500 pages, and I don't know much about it. I kind of went off the recommendation of some people and just added it to my list. All I know is it's something to do with a forbidden, a dark, foreboding castle. This girl in the beginning of the book gets hired by the hero to take care of his ailing mother, who seems to be a royal bitch, and they have this the town that they live in is superstitious, and they think that his family is cursed, and so he never leaves his castle, and they have lots of money, but there doesn't seem to be any love there, I guess. And we're getting alternating points of view of him when he was a kid, when something happened with him, and to the present with them. And we know he's a scarred hero, but we don't know how it happened. But again, I'm only maybe 40 pages of the way through, so I haven't gotten that far in, but I do really like it. I like the atmosphere and I like the writing, so I'm interested to see how it goes. It's just very long. So I'm going to head home, probably try to finish the audiobook for Learn My Lesson, and then update you guys once that's done. I truly had every intention of updating you at the 50% mark, but I ended up not being able to sleep, and so I was up until 3:30 this morning. Got 70% of the way through Master of Salt and Bone. This is a 530 something page book, and I just couldn't sleep, so I just kept reading. Okay, do I think this needs to be this long? Absolutely fucking not. But I also kind of understand why it's this long. So this is about a woman who goes to become a companion to the hero's mother, and she is not necessarily in need of like medical assistance, but she just needs someone to like talk to throughout the day. And so they hire the heroine. She's like 19, she just got out of high school, and she's looking to leave this town behind, and this job is offering her a lot of money because pickings are slim for them, quite frankly. Like, this town is a very small town, it has a very small population, and they think that the hero's family is cursed, and so no one really like wants to be around them, and so no one like wants the position, and people keep leaving the job, like companions keep leaving. So the heroine gets hired, and she goes there, and it's like this palatial house, and it's like gothic and old, and you can tell that it hasn't been very well kept up with. She sees the hero. Initially, everybody, like the staff and everybody's like, yeah, just don't really bother interacting with him. Like, he prefers people stay out of his way. And then every time she meets someone, they're like, have you met Lucian yet? Which is the hero. She's like, okay, this is like really freaking weird. Like, why is everybody asking me if I've met him or not? And so it's like very mysterious, and you're also getting alternating points of view of Lucian when he was a kid. I think it starts like 10 years earlier, and it's just all of the flashbacks are very, very dark, and you really come to understand Lucian as a person and how like fucked up his childhood was, and like how much that has affected him now. I would say about 40 to 50% of the way through the book, they start this like cat and mouse game of Lucian hooking up with her and then like pushing her away. And I don't love that repetition of that scene over and over in books. If it happens once or twice, like 3 times at max, I'm good. But this, like, I don't like that being the whole book. But I think because we're getting the alternating chapters and like other things are going on, it's not as big of a deal, and the atmosphere is fantastic. The writing is very, very good, and I am very interested to see how this story concludes. This is, like I said, a very dark book. Like, I don't want to keep repeating myself. I would like to give you guys details, but there's just a lot there to unpack. Both of them dealt with a lot of abuse. Lucian specifically, like, you're really diving into Lucian's abuse and the awful things that his family did to him. I am enjoying the characters, but I do feel like the heroine doesn't really have, I don't know, like, she doesn't feel very fleshed out, I guess. The author has given her different things that she enjoys, but like nothing feels very concrete. So she is like this child prodigy, and everyone's like, oh, well, you should do something with it because it's like a gift. She's like, nah, I don't want to do anything with it, but I do want to get out of this town. And like, it just feels very loose. And I guess she's like 19, so like, what 19-year-old really knows what they want to do with the rest of their lives? But she just doesn't feel very fleshed out as a character. And Lucian was definitely, more time was spent on Lucian for sure. Lucian himself is a very interesting character. He is very cold. You can tell that like any happiness or joy that he found as a kid was just like beaten out of him. And so now you're in the present, and he doesn't really like anything. He's very apathetic to anything. He doesn't really feel anything. And so when the heroine comes along, he's very like taken with her because he's never really had anything of value in his life, I guess, or nothing like, he's never had relationships with people that meant anything or like gave him anything. Everybody's always used him or abused him or put him in situations that he didn't want to be in. There are a lot of instances of sexual assault in here, and like casual and not casual. That's a very heavy theme, is like violation and things like that. And it's just a very dark book, lots of abuse, and yeah, you're in it. And you're slowly getting Lucian's backstory through these flashbacks, and it's just like, it's fucked. So that's how I'm feeling about it. At the moment, It's like a 4-star, but the ending could like change it all. I'll update you when I'm done with something. I'll probably end up finishing Learn My Lesson first. Okay, I am freaking exhausted. So for the sake of all of us, including editing Ashley, I'm going to try to be as quick and concise as I can be. I finished Learn My Lesson and I ended up giving it 3 stars. I think something that I'm realizing about Katie Robert, and I didn't really think about it until I read this one, is that none of her books feel different. All of her characters kind of follow the same model. None of them really feel like fleshed out characters. And I think once you get past the fact that she writes amazing sex scenes, you'll find that like her stories are just okay. I think she's an author that I will pick up every once in a while if I just want something steamy, but she's not someone that I am gonna go to for like consistent good romances. And that's kind of where I landed with this one. I alluded to it in my last clip, but this has pretty much the exact same relationship dynamic as a book in her Sabine Valley series, and the plot and everything felt very similar to her current series that she's working on. So it's nothing new in romance, and it's nothing new for Katie Robert, and I recognize that like this came first, but I'm not interested in reading any more works from her at this point. I think I'm gonna give her a break. I'm gonna read the second book in the new Neon Gods world, but I probably am gonna wait a while to read it. So that's kind of where I landed with that one, 3 stars. And then I also got 50% of the way through The Redemption. So this is the 4th book in the Filthy Rich Americans series, and if you're not familiar, the first 3 books are about Marist, and I can't remember her like hero's name, but she has a back and forth relationship with him and his father, McAllister. And like reading the books themselves, I was 100% on board with her ending up with McAllister. I feel like she was the perfect fit for him. And I can see why she didn't end up there, like why Nikki Sloan made that decision, because I know with this one, like that the heroine in this one is a much better match for him, but I don't like, I want to say like fucking, his name's like Scott or some shit like that. I don't like that guy. Their energies do not match. And so in this one, this is taking place 2 years after the events of the first 3 books. Something has happened that has kind of set McAllister on this route of like redemption. Kind of what I was expecting or wishing for was that we would figure out, like we would see the turning point of where he was like, okay, I'm like a piece of shit and I need to like change my life around. We're kind of seeing him post that decision, and now him actually having to take those steps to like be a better person, which I am enjoying, but I wish we had seen that moment. It's his relationship with his assistant. So in the beginning of the book, he finds out this woman comes to him who's like a daughter of one of the businessmen that he works with, and the business partner's daughter shows up and says, I know of someone who's trying to write a book about you. Let's team up together to kind of like redeem you before this book comes out, I guess. And so she becomes his assistant. She's like the perfect heroine for McAllister, where McAllister is extremely intelligent. He plays his life like it's a chess game. He doesn't like to show any weakness, and he doesn't really feel much. Like he does, but he just doesn't, he tampers it down, and he doesn't allow himself to enjoy the people around him or like care for the people around him. And so of course we have a heroine that is like perfectly matching his energy. There is an age gap. I think he's like almost 50 and she is like 26, and that at this point is like his biggest gripe about why they can't be together. But at this point they've hooked up quite a bit. I am enjoying seeing him doing better and like changing the minds of the people in this town and like showing him showing them that he is a good guy. He got like a pet cat, and he's like actively thinking about being a better person and being more friendly to people and like wanting that and desiring that. I just wish that we had seen that desire spark off, I guess. Like, I wish we had seen the point in where he decided that he wanted to be a better person. So that's like my one complaint about it thus far. It's definitely better than the other 3 in the series. I really liked the series itself as a whole. I just didn't like Marist, and I'm gonna call him Scott, even though I don't think that's his name. I thought he was mega boring, and like the best parts of the series were her and McAllister. So I was very excited when this came up on the TBR to read, because I've been very interested in him since the second book in that series. That is the update. Now I am probably going to take a very long nap, and then I'm going to try to finish Master of Salt and Bone. I am, like I said, 70% of the way through that, and I should be able to finish it today. A lot longer update than I was trying to go for, but hey, that's like par for the course for me. So we will talk when I have finished something. I have finished a Master of Salt and Bone, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. As predicted, I thought this was overly long, and I wish that we had gotten a little bit more of the heroine's trauma woven throughout the story so that we could see them build that connection, rather than it just being like a click moment where it's like, oh, we do belong together. Like, I kind of wish we had seen that. There was definitely more character work gone into the hero. Did like it. I loved the atmosphere. I think the writing was fantastic, and I liked the couple. And then I ended up finishing The Redemption as well, and I gave this 4 stars as well, but like a very, very high 4 stars. This was definitely my favorite book in the series, and this heroine is 100% perfect for McAllister, and McAllister is just such a daddy. I absolutely love it. This was a fantastic book. I think seeing McAllister's redemption was so great, while also not making him like the most perfect person, I think is great. I think the conflict was exactly what I wanted it to be, and I think it speaks well to people's ability to change, right? Like, not everybody gets it right, and it's hard to change who you are in a day. So I really liked it. The groveling was just perfection. The end was like a whole star for me. I really liked it. I'm glad that I read it. And if you didn't like The Initiation, or you finished the first 3 and haven't read this one, I highly recommend. It's definitely the best one in the series, and I would say you can read it as a standalone. There's a little bit of like history that you might not understand, but Nikki Sloan does a good job of like making it understandable if you don't know the rest of the story. So now I have 2 books left. I actually added an extra book for this video. So the 2 books I have left is Medicine Man, which is like a 12-hour audiobook, so it's going to take me a little bit longer. I haven't started it yet. And I also have Buy Me Sir by Jade West. So I wanted to do a surprise book of Leticia's favorite book of the year. So I messaged her. I was like, hey, what's your favorite book of the year that we didn't read together, because we read a lot of books last year together that were fantastic. And she said Buy Me by Jade West. Now, I don't have the best luck with this author. I have read 2 books by her so far. One of them, like, I absolutely really just detested, and one was just like a regular 3-star for me. I was kind of iffy about this one going in, but I'm very much liking it. I am 50% of the way through, and it is about the heroine who is absolutely obsessed with the hero. She's been obsessed with him since high school, like stalking him. She gets this job as a cleaner to be near him, like starts volunteering at a soup kitchen to be near him, but like she volunteers at another location so that eventually she can transfer to his location. Like, she signs herself up for an escort service that he uses so that he will buy a night with her, and like she's just obsessed with him. Hero is very hard to read from. He's got a lot going on emotionally. He is a defense attorney for like the bad people, like the rich people that commit atrocious crimes, that have a lot of money and then pay him a lot of money to like defend them. That's what he does. And his wife left him and took their 2 kids, and he's all alone. And so he feels very empty, and he feels like his life is pointless, and he doesn't really have a reason to go on. There's a very heart-wrenching scene where he's debating killing himself, and it's just, his point of view is very different from hers. His is very, very emotional, and like it breaks your heart a little bit, just to see him. That kind of changes when he gets a new cleaner, and she like brings a bit of life back to his house. Like she starts bringing orchids and flowers and leaves him little surprises, and like cleans his house very well, and just like loves his dog, like treats his dog really well. So he feels a little bit renewed, and he's excited to come home and see what she's left him. Now they have had their first encounter. He doesn't know that she's his cleaner, that he is like a little bit in love with, but he hired her through an auction. There's like this side plot that he is into very dark things sexually, and so he uses a like escort service that his father introduced him to get women, and he has very intense tastes. We haven't seen a lot of it yet. We've just kind of seen snippets. I think this might be the best Jade West I've read. Like, one book I had an issue with the dirty talk. It was just, ugh. And then the other one was just like, okay. Like, I didn't really feel like it was super well developed. So I am 73% of the way through Buy Me Sir, and I just want to say that I hate the heroine. Like, I hate what she's doing. She is lying to the hero about her identity, and the more that we learn about the hero, the more that I think that her actions are irredeemable. Like, I cannot see myself liking her at the end of this or believing in their romance, because like it's just heartbreaking. And I love Alexander so much, and he's been through so much, and he's hurting currently so much, that like the fact that she's doing this, just, I hate it. Like, I don't like her. And yeah, like I'm all for the stalking, that's fun and all that, but like at this point, the lying about who you are is just so damaging, and I'm like, I don't like her at all. I hate her. So we'll see how it ends up going, but I don't like her at all. Like, also the overuse of the word fucking and cunt is really testing my patience. I finished Buy Me Sir, and I managed to give it 3 stars. I think you could surmise this from my last clip, but I was very much not liking this book. The more I read it, I was hating the heroine. Every time I felt like we were learning more and more about the hero, he was becoming more vulnerable, I was hating the heroine even more, because I was getting to very far into the book and her identity hadn't been revealed. And then the end kind of saved it. She has like a kind of mini redemption arc, obviously. And that's what kept me from giving it 2 stars. That for sure. Because like, I understood where she was coming from. And I think, like with Salt, Master of Salt and Bone, if her character had actually been explored more throughout the book, we would have felt a little bit more sympathy for her. And she just was like that kind of character that I don't like. Now, another example of where this really worked for me was the Unrequited. She stalks him. He finds out sooner than in this book, but his personality matches her personality. Like, she's obsessive and he needs to dominate someone, and he needs to be obsessed about. Whereas this one, he was just so soft, and he really needed someone to show him love and show him that the things that he liked and was into wasn't anything to be ashamed of, and like that just didn't fit with her at all, in my opinion. And like my last complaint is like I was reading the reviews and everybody was like, this is dark, this is crazy, this is really taboo, and it's like the most you see is like anal, and like it's rough, but it's like not that crazy, I guess. He's like really into choking, like asphyxiation, not just like regular choking, but like to the point of almost passing out. But none of it was like really wild like the reviews made it seem. So that means I only have one book left for this video. That is Medicine Man. I started the audiobook earlier today and I only got like maybe an hour into it. It's 12 hours long and it's gonna be a chunker. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through it as quickly as I would like to, but we'll see. I'm hoping I like it. It's interesting. We'll talk about it at the 50% mark. So last night I finished Medicine Man and I decided to give this 4 stars. So this is basically about a woman who, after attempting to jump off of a roof, has been institutionalized, and it is her relationship with her psychiatrist. And this is very long. For one, the audiobook I think is over 12 hours and it just felt a little bit unnecessarily long. I didn't really see the connection between the two initially when they're actually on the inside, and then the actual ending is kind of what saved it for me. I really liked the ending. I will say this does some weird stuff with like points of view where like one chapter will wrap up in the future and then the next chapter will go to the past from a different point of view. It's disjointed and it's a little confusing. But overall, I did enjoy it. I think that Safran Aken is a great writer and she can get you to understand characters and believe in their relationships very easily and very quickly. So overall, I did enjoy it. I didn't think that for the majority of the book, their relationship made sense emotionally, but I think that it was a good book. I was going to update you at the 50% mark, but quite frankly, I didn't really have much to say. I feel like this is one of those books where you read it and you enjoy it, but other than that, like, there really isn't a whole lot there to talk about. And that is the last book that I have to read for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. I definitely had some great picks, and thank you for Leticia for participating in this with me. Other than that, make sure you comment your thoughts down below on any of the books that I read. I would love to hear your thoughts. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.
Sitting in silence, we still feel the vibe, and you could not say a word, and I know what you just decided. We'd be right in the same wave. Oh, the water's perfect, babe.